Hello and welcome. It is Financial Modeling World Cup weekend again, and we've been told from the question guide that the main topic, or the topic of the big question in this round, is going to be real estate modeling, and that the question is going to be by Andrew Grigolyunovich, the FMWC founder. Now, Andrew wrote a number of real estate modeling questions back in 2020 when the competition started, and he was writing all the questions. So I thought those would be a good place to go for practice. So the one I'm looking at right now is case 3 from round 4 of 2020. So this was the last case of the last round of the 2020 season. It went terribly for me. I was narrowly in the lead going into the final round in that season, and I managed to blow the last round so hard that not only did Joseph Lau beat me by like 1,000 points or something, but Andrew Nye, who missed the first round, still almost beat me because he did very well in this round. So I'm partly just generally doing practice, but I have a few new robot commands that I wrote earlier today that I thought might help me on this kind of a case. So I did a run through of this case earlier, but did a few things that didn't work well for the way I had set up my robot commands and ended up spending a bunch of time debugging. So I thought I would try to make a clean run of this, and I figured while I was doing that, I might as well make a video of it as well. So let's, yeah, I guess let's start the timer, and I'll give you the kind of general introduction. So this is just chit chat. So we're working for a company. They have plans to expand rapidly, blah, blah, blah. They operate a small network of 5 hotels. They're planning to build 20 more around the same country. It's actually 21 in the model. So there's one for each letter of the alphabet. We want to build a 10-year quarterly financial model for the holding company. And we have to build a separate model for each hotel because each one is its own legal entity. And we want flexibility to allow for different timings of hotel starts and the possibility that a hotel might not start at all. And then we get into the details. So let's go over, see what we have in the assumptions. Some general stuff up here. We've got 5 existing hotels for which it tells us their cash flow in the last quarter, Q4 of 2020, and the number of rooms. And we've got plans for 21 new hotels for which it tells us the target land acquisition date, the value of the land in 2020 dollars, the number of rooms, and the construction costs. So first, new robot command. I'm just going to import my timeline file. So I may have shown you this one before, but the idea is we've got a period counter, a start date, an end date. So we're going to set our start date. I'm going to tell you more about this command in a second, but I'm just going to use it for right now. So this is the model start date. We want 10 years and we want 3 months per period for a quarterly model, and then we can hide all this stuff. So these are the kind of main fields. So the model starts on the 1st of January 21, the end of the first quarter is the 31st of March. There's a bunch of other ones down here which also have named ranges. So like the year number, the month number, the quarter number, number of days in the period, number of days in the year, 30 over 360 calculation, actual over 365, actual over actual. If you don't know what those are to do with loan interest payment conventions, but don't worry too much about it. All right, so that's one important piece of setup. So first things first, we've got a bunch of prices here in 2020 terms. We've got an inflation rate, so let's just get the details, even though it's not quite in order, on inflation. Assume a 0.5% inflation rate per quarter kicks in on the first day of each quarter, starting from January 1st, 2021. So index. So first things first, let's grab that rate. And then we're going to say scan starting from 1, and I just need to get 1 plus this to the power of a sequence of 1s the size of the model, for which I can use my period number is greater than 0, which will evaluate to true for every period, which will be treated as 1, and then I want to take the product of all of those. And I'm going to format comma, variable decimals, 4 decimal places. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then I'm going to hide everything after here. Okay, so now first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to model my new hotels. And the way that I want to do this, there are 21 hotels, so there's a temptation to say, you know, let's figure out the land acquisition costs for all 21 hotels, and then this thing for 21 hotels, this thing for 21 hotels. The way I want to do it, and the way I've been practicing doing it, is is building a model per hotel, and then kind of working from there. So that's what I'm going to do. So the hotel is going to be index this block by A22, and then I want these things, and I'm going to do my, so let me quickly explain this one. Paste assumption link. It is giving me a link to that assumption. It's graying it out. It's copying the number format, although it's only taking it from the first cell, so I shouldn't have done no mixed formats, but never mind. There we go. So it grays it out, but then it also goes back to where I copied it from and yellows that out so that I can keep track of which bits, which of the assumptions in the model I've already used. It's going to help me make sure that I'm not missing anything as things go along. Anyway, so now that I have that whole range, what I actually just want is row 1 of that. So these are the details for this hotel. Okay, so let's scoot things along just so we can see the full label. Land value, construction. So, oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I've done that as one block, so I'm kind of stuck with that. I'll just widen these out. Okay. So, hotel construction costs. Blah, blah, blah. So, first, we got to buy land on the projected date. So, land cost. Then we've got to do construction cost, for which we're going to want to have a construction flag. So first, my construction start date. So it tells us we have a lag of 2 quarters between buying the land and construction starting, which is up here. So const start is going to be, date can be x match this against stdt start date. Then my construction start is going to be that plus the lag, which gets us to quarter 3. Now the length of construction is 7 quarters for a small hotel, meaning up to and including 150 rooms, and 9 quarters for large hotels. So we'll say large, well, I guess let's import the threshold, and that is the 150. So then we're going to say this is greater than 150, and then we're going to say const duration. So we'll say if that, then large lock, otherwise small lock. And since I'm not copy pasting those, I'll just do that. So then last construction period and first operating period. So construction starts in quarter 3, so we add 7, subtract 1, it's going to finish in quarter 9, and first operating period will be that plus 1. So my construction flag then is going to be equals per num greater than or equal to construction start times per num less than or equal to construction end. And that I just want to get rid of the formatting that came in here. Oh, ED shift cells. Okay, so then my land cost is going to be the land value times the inflation index times per num, and And sorry, I got a lock. Actually, sorry, one of the things that I was screwing up earlier that I wanted to fix was I kept not locking my reference to the inflation. So inf times land value times per num equals the acquisition date, acquisition quarter. Okay. Then the construction cost. So the idea with the construction cost is the uninflated cost gets split into equal parts over the 7 or 9 quarters, and then we apply inflation. So cost per Q 2020 will just be construction cost divided by construction duration. So then our construction cost will be construction flag times inflation times cost per quarter. You can see how some of the formulas get super simple when you have flags. Okay, so that's our land cost and our construction cost. Inflation. So now the revenues, the hotel cash flows. Each new hotel is expected to generate positive cash flow as soon as it starts operation, regularly paid to the holding company as dividends. An average new hotel with 150 rooms generates $450,000 when it's up and running, starting from quarter 9 of operations. So let's have a up flag. That'll be minus per num greater than or equal to first operating quarter. Oops, not an underscore at the end, but a closing bracket. And there we go. And then operating quarter as well, because I think I need that in a little bit. So we'll scan from 0 through this sum. So here's operating quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Good. So, so it takes 2 years to ramp up, and so there's a schedule down here of what that ramp up looks like. So for a hotel with 150 rooms, this is what you'd expect, and for larger or smaller hotels, it scales up or down proportionally, being the key word. So I'm not going to use either of these assumptions directly. I'm going to use some slightly different assumptions. So I'm going to say run rate, meaning the final rate per room at $20, and that's going to be this divided by this. So that's $3,000 per room, and then I want percent of run rate here, and that's going to be this divided by the final number, and we'll format percent to 2 decimal places. Okay, and now this this is all fine for a lookup. This 9 plus, I want to get rid of the plus, just have it as a number, and then I can do a lookup or next smaller. So I want percent of run rate, and that's going to be sorry, it's going to be if op flag, then xlookup this in here, lock, returning from here, lock, exact match or next smaller item. Sorry, and then otherwise 0. So I'm going to format this as percent, format percent, 2 decimal places. So we start operating here, and by Q9 we are at 100%. Good. Then I want run rate rev 2020 RR per room is going to be this assumption right here. So then it's this times the number of rooms. Whoa, what the? Okay, so then the revenue is going to be percent of run rate times run rate per room times inflation. Good. Okay. So what else have we got? So the overhead is a function of the group, so based on the number of hotels that are active. So I'm going to come back to that in a bit. But the financing is done on a per hotel basis. So we've got a construction loan for each hotel at 75% of loan to cost. So at the end of each quarter, they draw a construction loan in the amount of 75% of the construction costs incurred, not land acquisition. Land acquisition is financed just through their own funds. So let's make a construction. Const is fine. So I want opening, draw, payment, closing, and I want interest. And I'm going to, for the sake of distinguishing them, I'm going to append. I'm going to append C to each of these. Yes, fine. Append C to each of these and append P to the permanent loan equivalents. So do that. Okay, so the initial closing is just 0. Red for a different type of formula. Okay, so then the draw, I need the percentage, which is here. And while I'm at it, I'll put the interest rate here. So then the draw is the construction cost times 75%. And actually, I'm a little nervous about generating unintended circularities, so we'll do that. And we'll widen all these out so that I can see my numbers. Okay. Then the payment. So we want to know, when does the payment happen? And the answer is construction loan is repaid on the last day of the first quarter of operations. So that is this guy here, quarter 10. So I'm just going to put in a repay flag, and that's just going to be minus minus per num equals. The whole idea of flags has definitely grown on me quite a lot. I used to not be such a big fan. It's like, oh, it's so redundant, but I really like them now. They simplify everything. Anyway, so we're going to say if that, then minus this, otherwise 0. I think that will do. So we get to quarter 10, and we repay. Happy days. Then the interest is calculated as 4.75% annual rate on the opening balance for the quarter, actual over 365. No other fees. Okay. So I want my opening balance times my interest rate times, and this is where the named ranges come in handy. I just have one called Act 365, which already figures out the proportion of the year. Okay, so that's the construction loan. Now I want the permanent loan. So let's just copy all that because it's pretty similar. Not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar. Perm loan. I don't need a repay flag for that. No. Okay. So this is all going to be different, and this is all going to be different, and these two are also going to be different. So the LTV for the permanent loan is 70%, so we can finance 70% of the hotel's projected value. For the purpose of this case, you can calculate the value of each hotel as 48 times its projected quarterly EBITDA. Now, I got quite tripped up on this earlier because the only place it defines EBITDA is down here. EBITDA, group level EBITDA, is hotel cash flows less group overhead. So I thought, okay, you got to calculate the overhead, then allocate it to the hotels, then work out the EBITDA that way. But it turns out that to get your answers to match, when you say EBITDA at the hotel level, you have to mean excluding all the group overhead. So a little confusing, but it is what it is. So based on the EBITDA for the 9th quarter of operations, including all the possible inflation. So in other words, not the run rate that you would have today, but what you expect to make in your actual 9th quarter. So let's take this and where's my robot? There we go. This is valuation quarter. Sorry, I've got to do the valuation first. Value. It's just going to be this times. Sorry, I got to bring in the 48 as well. So it's going to be this times this. Okay, so then valuation at refi is going to be index, sorry, valuation quarter, no, that's the valuation offset. So then the valuation quarter is going to be this plus this minus 1. So then the value of refi is going to be index on this by that. So then the loan amount, it's the perm loan, but whatever it'll do, is this times the 70%. Okay. So then here, the draw is going to be if we are in the refi quarter, then I want, oops, that, otherwise 0. So in the same quarter, hopefully, yes, as we pay off this loan, we draw down this loan, which is perfect. And then we're going to pay that off. 30-year repayment schedule in equal quarterly principal payments. I vividly remember that I missed this word when I was doing the case on the day and just did equal quarterly principal plus interest payments, mortgage style, which is more complicated. Equal payments is more straightforward, but anyway, based assumption link there, and we got to do this one. See, this is a good example. I copy pasted this and it left the link to the other loan. It would have been easy for me to forget that I had to link in this one. Because of the coloring, it's hard to forget. Okay, so I guess I'll come back up to the top and do loan payment is going to be this divided by the 30 years divided by 4 payments per year. So then we're going to say equals if sorry, we'll do at per num because again I don't want to make it into an array formula. If that is greater than the first quarter of operations, so in the first quarter of operations we draw the loan at the end of the quarter. If we're greater than that, then we want to repay. And I don't need to worry about paying off the loan because these are all on 30-year schedules and we're building a 10-year model, so none of these is going to get paid off and I don't need to worry about that. Whoa, what? Oh, sorry, yeah, I got a lock. This, do I need to lock that? No, that one's going across with me. Wait, no, that's not coming across with me. I do need to lock that. Okay, so now I've got equal payments all along here. That's looking good. Let's do the interest. Probably just the same formula as this. Yep. So we got this times the opening balance times actual over 365. Is it also actual over 365 for this? Yes. No other fees for the permanent loans, fine. Cool. Okay. So then the other thing that I want is a net loan cash flow. And that is going to be the draw plus the repayment minus the interest plus the draw here plus the repayment here minus the interest here. So that's all the money moving around because of the loan, and there should be a spike in that. Yes, big spike here because we get a cash boost from a bigger permanent loan than the construction loan. Okay, so that's all that done. Now I think it's time to try my trick. So I've built a model of one hotel. So now I'm going to take my cool new robot command and attempt to turn that into a model of every hotel. So we're going to clone block with summary. So I have 21 hotels in total, so I want to make 20 copies of that, and my labels are in column C, which is column number 3. So I give it that, and it will produce, here is hotel number 2, here is hotel number 3, hotel number 4, and then all the way down at the bottom. It needs to be cleaned up in various ways, but there is a summary where every number here becomes a sum ifs of the column above, where it matches this label. And that's why I was giving a distinct label to opening, closing, for the permanent loan versus a construction loan. I need to clean this up a bit, which I will get to later, but first I want to do a test. And the test is, if I make this a 1, it should be the case that now every piece of this model exactly matches the model above. And if it passes that test, then I will feel comfortable that I have not made any silly copy-paste errors. Good, it does. So now, put that back in there. So now I've got 1 to 20. All right, so which things do I want to summarize? None of this stuff. Construction flag, no. Land cost and construction cost, I do want to summarize. So the way this works is like it's a go-to numbers, but where the calculation is a dynamic array, it only sees there being one formula here as opposed to all the way across. So that's what I was saying about needing to tidy up. I just need to copy that across. Operation flag, yes, that'll tell me, if I sum that across all of them, that'll tell me how many hotels are active. Operating quarter, I do not need to summarize. Percent of run rate, I don't need to summarize. Revenue, yes. Valuation, yes. Get rid of all these things at the side. They are not meaningful here. Okay, repayment flag, not meaningful. I just want the closing balance and the interest for the construction loan. And the same things for the permanent loan. And then the net loan cash flow. Perfect. All right, I think almost ready to start answering some questions now, but let's, so that's the new hotels. My overall model then, I'm going to just clear out all that. So I want revenue, I want overhead. So my revenue is going to be new hotels, existing hotels, and total. So my revenue from new hotels is going to be this handy dandy summary. Hang on, this looks like it's not copying. Oh yeah, that one needs to be copied across as well. And these just need a little more space, I think. But they're not, yeah, they're not erroring, they just needed space. Good. Okay, so that is my revenue from new hotels. From existing hotels, it's just going to be paste assumption link, and then I'm going to wrap with formula, wrap with function, sum. So I just want to sum up what all the existing hotels made in Q4, and then I just want to inflate that. Sorry, I've got the named range inflation elsewhere. Okay, so that's the revenue from existing hotels. Sum those up to get a total. Then my overhead, so operating hotels, is just going to be, I'm just going to hard code the 5 plus the number of new hotels that have come online. So it starts off at 5 and works its way up. So now here I've got these hotel numbers and these overheads. So again, just I don't want to deal with the text. I'm just going to remove everything after it from the space on so that I just have the lower bound number. I'm also going to mark that. And then I'm going to say overhead is going to be XLOOKUP, this in here, lock, returning from here, lock, comma, comma, exact match your next smaller item. So what we should see is that as soon as we hit 6 hotels, that's a step up. When we hit 11 hotels, that's a step up. When we hit 16, that's a step up. That seems to be working fine. Okay, so then group EBITDA is just revenue minus the overhead. Then cash flow is going to be construction costs plus land costs, loan cash flow, operating cash flow. That's basically it, I think. So the construction, land costs, and construction costs, this plus this. The loan cash flow is just this. Oh, I need to extend that, but let's do that right now. Okay, and then the operating cash flow is synonymous with the EBITDA because we don't have any working capital assumptions here. Total. Pardon me. Okay. So that's, we've done the overhead. We've done the share. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, gotta get the signs right on these. So costs, our money going out the door. And loan cash flow already has the right sign. Operating cash flow already has the right sign, I think. So then cash, we start off with this $80 million. So let me just find this. So they've just raised a new round of investment. They've got $80 million. They do not plan to inject any additional funds. Where there's a lack of cash, new hotel openings should be delayed to avoid cash shortfalls. No dividends. All money earned stays in the company until it's sold. Okay. So our opening cash is here. Paste assumption link. And then we just have this plus this. Copy across. Some of these numbers are looking awfully large. Have I got something wrong in here? Am I forgetting something? Let's see. I don't know. I'm going to start answering some questions. That'll probably help to signpost me a little. So let's go draw mode. What is the inflation coefficient for the fourth quarter of 2030? That's right at the end, 1.2208. Yes. Total cash outflow for land purchases in nominal dollars. That's in my summary here. Land cost. 48256,439. 48256,439. Yes. When should the last construction cost payment be done for Joker? So I want to look in values for Joker. And the answer is what? Let's see. Construction cost. Last payment should be made in September 24. Okay. Total cash outflow for new hotel construction. So construction costs 358,168,154. 358,168,154. Okay. Total cash inflow from the hotel portfolio in Q4 21. Q4 21 is before any of the new hotels come online, so 2,218,827. Yes, looks good. Total group level overhead expense up to and including Q4 2030, so every year in other words, 45,025. Totally wrong. Order of magnitude wrong. Okay. Let's read about the, I did kind of not read the overhead section. I just reference it. Okay. Monthly overhead expenses. Okay, so first thing, monthly, but I'm building a quarterly model, so times 3. You almost got me. Come on top of each individual's hotel cost. As soon as the number of operating hotels is 6 more, it goes up, yes. Then it goes up again, yes. Define hotels that are actually working. Do not count hotels that are still under construction. Yes, I think I did that. And apply inflation. Yes, thank you. So times inf. Okay, so now my total is 153, 480, 511. Does that seem more plausible? 153, 4, yes, much better. Okay, what is the outstanding balance of all the active construction loans Q2 26? Construction closing in Q2 26. That seems awfully high. 239 million? Yeah, that's bonkers. Okay, well, what the heck's going on here? Okay. These loans are just seem to be getting bigger and bigger, which is not necessarily a good sign. So let's see. Construction costs are, let's see, averaging exactly the same as the first one. So construction loan amount should not be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I guess let's look at the construction draw. So I'll draw construction. Oh, what? Oh, sorry. Ah! Oh, for the love of... Okay, yeah. It's because I didn't distinguish my labels. So I said I would label one as C and one as P, but I actually just left them both labeled as C, which means that I'm double counting my everything. Okay, so that's not great, but easy to fix. So we come all the way up to here, and then we go all the way down to the bottom. And we just paste over. And then here, we just need to fix that and fix that. Okay, that looks more promising. So now they're going up at a more moderate rate. And if we get to Q226, 74193562. Yes, okay. Total interest paid during Q421. That'll be here. Haven't taken any permanent loans yet, so 2313. Yes. The outstanding balance of all the active permanent loans at the end of Q4 2030. 312567790. 3125, yes. Maximum outstanding balance of all the active permanent loans. The max is 337172230. 337172230, yes. And that should be Q4 28. Q4 28, yes, 337. Good. Happy days. Total interest paid for all the permanent loans is this, which is 35053,310. Yes. Enterprise value of the business at the end of Q4 2030. Okay. So for the valuation, 12 months EBITDA is going to be that multiple so the EV is going to be this times this. 363, 267, 375. Yes, sweet. And the equity value. Okay, so we want to add cash and subtract debt. So the cash is going to be this, and the debt is going to be minus this. All the construction loans are already repaid. So equity value is going to be the sum of these three. 104, 973, 780. Yes. Okay, now it's scenario o'clock. Questions 14 to 15 refer to scenarios when new hotels are started at different dates compared to the base case. Yeah, fine. So we want to have a few different scenarios for this. So let's do this. We'll say LTSU, this is base. We want scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. So scenario 1 is all the land is acquired on Jan 1st. And scenario 2 is start 2 hotels per quarter. So Family Club and Georgetown both start in the first. Yeah, okay. So then we'll do that, and then we'll say E-date this 3. So April, July, October. Yes, that seems to be working fine. And then there's another one down here. We'll come to that. Okay. So it says here, if they try to build them all on the 1st of January, their cash will go negative. What's the maximum expected cash deficit? So, sorry, I need to active. Then we can, base equals xlookup this in this returning from this. Okay, so let's activate scenario 1, and our cache is here. Maximum deficit is minus 42,970,238. Yes, hooray. And then in the slightly less aggressive scenario, what is the question? Still, what is the maximum cache deficit? But here there might not be one. Minus 9,413,199. Cool. Okay. So the last one then, I remember this. So the group overhead has a jump at 26 hotels, which is exactly how many we get to. And so if you just didn't make one of these hotels so that you stay at 25, that would make the group more valuable. So the question is, which one would you drop? If you select not to open it and keep the construction timing for all the others the same. So we're going to say drop. What is going on here? That's better. So we're going to give it a number between 1 and 21 or 0 to not drop anything. And then here we're going to say if sequence 21 equals drop, then let's just say date 2200 1231. Otherwise, the original scheduled values. So if we drop hotel number 1, that gets pushed out. Now the question is, does the model break if I push a hotel out? Acquisition quarter should not be that. Oh, sorry, yeah, because we don't have scenario 3 active. So let's activate scenario 3. Okay, this all breaks. So let's just say if error 1000. And this now looks like everything is zeroed out, which is all I really need. Yep, that's all 0, which means that's behaving. So now I just need to take the equity value here, which you can already see is a chunk higher. And then sequence 21 and data table it. So we're dropping all the different options. Woo, uh-oh. Don't love that. What? 2 with NA? Really? Oh, right, because I made the change just on the first one and did not carry it over to the rest, so that was silly. So here, I just want to filter for all the dates. And what did I do? The acquisition quarter, yes. So that, down to the end, update. That was the only change I made. So now we've got something that looks a lot better. So 2 questions to answer. One is, which hotel do we drop? And the other is, what's the maximum value of equity? So we're going to say max of that. And we're going to say xlookup this in here, returning from here. And the answers are not in this file, but I did write them down on a piece of paper earlier, and I think these look familiar. 153, 866, 039, and Park. Oh yeah, check it out. All right, so it took me more attempts than I care to admit to finally get this one in a reasonable time. But now that I've got a bit more used to using them, I'm really loving this thing of being able to like tick off the assumptions as I use them, and I'm loving this thing of being able to build a single model and then have it automatically replicate that and build a little summary for me at the bottom. Yeah, robot for the win. I will definitely be using these commands when I do the battle tomorrow. That is all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.